Hello, good morning. How y'all doing today? Oh, man, I forgot to change that, didn't I? Um, okay. I forgot to take that off from yesterday. Yes, I still believe we need to celebrate Veterans Day, but today is no longer Veterans Day. So I need to get that off of there. So I would not confuse anybody who might happen to be lesser educated, such as myself. All right. Further news of the day. Elections results are still ongoing. Unfreaking believable. As of, I just pulled this up here. So as of 9:51 a.m. this morning, there are only 215 Republican seats in the House and 206 Democratic seats. And other seats still left undecided. Remember, you need 218 to have control. Republicans have the lead in one in Iowa, the second one in Arizona. Then in California, they've got three. They've got three in California and one in Alaska. So let's take a look at this Iowa one. Iowa won 50.1% to 49.9, 0.2% differential. That will probably end up going to a hand recount if it has not already. Arizona, 49.5 to 48.2. That will also probably end up going to a hand recount if it has not already. California, not 45, 50.7 to 49.3. That will probably also end up, anything under 2%, I'm figuring is going to end up having to go to a hand recount. California 41, the Republican 51.3 to the Democratic 48.7. Let me see if I can make that bigger to where everybody might be able to read it a little bit easier. All right. So let's see here, 49, 50. That is outside the 2%. So that may, but there's only 81% of the ballots have been counted. The Iowa 99% have been counted. The Arizona only 86 have been counted. Alaska, that's a 4% differential, but only 71% of the ballots have been counted. Alaska, what the hell? And then finally, California, 22. 53 to 46, but only 71% of the ballots have been counted. Now, there's still all these others that are still out there. But they've already got their projected winners, and and they're already counted. And the numbers up on top. Well, not all of them, though. I mean, California got a Republican here, a Republican there, a Republican. Wow. Oh, District 22, only 71% counted. So that's still a possibility for changes there. So Yeah, we've still got the house can still jump either direction. Seriously, the house could flip going the other way. It's not likely, but it is possible. So, hey, Rama, good morning. It's not likely, but it is possible that the house could flip. Now, I'll be very thankful if it doesn't. But we've got problems, and I'll talk about that later on. There could still be some problems down the line. Now, on my thumbnail, I asked a question about a gentleman by the name of Scott Presler. And I've seen his last name spelled both ways in the news, with two S's and some with one. However, Wiki is showing it as spelled with one S, so that's how I went. So, Mr. Presler, if your last name has two S's in it, I apologize. I went with the way that I saw it spelt the most. All right. Now, when I first heard about, started hearing about Scott Presler in the past couple of days, I was like, the name sounds familiar. I've heard it before, but I don't know where. It was just one of them things that sat in the back of the mind, and it just rolled around and rolled around and rolled around. I just could not figure out where in the world I had heard that name Scott Presler before. And I was really concerned about it. Now, well, when I say really concerned, it sort of bugged me. But it only bugged me when I heard the name. And it's like, man, where have I heard that name before? What's going on with that? And then his name popped up again this morning. So it's like, okay, I've got to figure out where this name has been from and where I've heard it from before. Whoops. So what do? I go to Wikipedia and pull it up. There's a picture of him from 2023. See, this is born either 1987 or 1988. God, he's a young pup. In 1987 or 88, doesn't matter. I'd already been 2 years in Arizona and 3 years in Germany and at least 3 years back in the States before he was born. But he has come to become a real go-getter within the Republican Party. Hey, Raman, you do have a link if you want to pop in. And then it dawned on me. Years ago, he was out in California scooping up the human feces, making an issue of what the homeless were doing to the streets in San Francisco and such. Now, of course, Wikipedia being Wikipedia, they're going to highlight he was part of, that promoting the false claim that electoral fraud allowed Vice President Biden to win the 2020 election. That's we shall agree to disagree on that, Wiki and Democratic Party and MSNBC and the MSN media, the mass media. We will agree to disagree on that. But he started working off in Virginia, knocked on doors and registering votes. He founded the LGBT. He is a gay man. He co-founded the Gays for Trump. So the man has been active in politics for a long time. But why am I talking about him now? That's the question, right? Why am I talking about him now? He is one of the main reasons Pennsylvania flipped and got those votes for Trump.
Hourly Amazon employees earn an average of more than $20 an hour with opportunities to grow.
Where am I getting this audio from?
Trump lessons start Monday.
There it is. Okay. Pressler was massively important to getting the Amish registered and out to vote. The Friday only market, Fox News Digital follows Scott Pressler as he made his near weekly stop at the massive Green Dragon Flea Market in Ephrata outside Lancaster. The Friday only market is a popular stop for tourists and locals, including the area's Mennonite and Amish population. Now, Mennonites are like Amish, but more modern. They'll drive cars, but the cars have to be black. They will allow electricity, and some of them will allow electricity in their homes, but only in common areas. Bedrooms are forbidden to have electricity. So they're sort of like Mennonites or like the Amish, but a little more lax, but still pretty strict. But he was really, and I'm not familiar with the Brethren that much. I believe they're a more stricter group of the Amish, but I'm not 100% certain of that. Yeah, just to be honest. I don't know why I'm yawning here all of a sudden, people. I apologize. But Scott was he was integral. He was, if it was not for him and his work in the Amish community, Pennsylvania would not have flipped. And this man, as you saw by that other picture I had of him, which they don't have a good picture here of him, I don't think. There he is. Look at that hair. I mean, he hasn't had that haircut in decades. But there is something about that man that made the Amish and the Mennonites and the Brethren trust him enough. Hey, Neil, made them trust him enough to register to vote and go out and vote for Trump. Now, it doesn't hurt any that the Amish, and I'm more familiar with the Amish in Ohio, not the Pennsylvania Amish, but the Ohio Amish. And there may be a difference. I don't know. But the Amish don't trust outsiders. They don't trust the English, and we're considered the English to them. And now, the cat got me up at 3:30 this morning. Well, let me rephrase this. My bladder got me up at 3:30. I went to go back to bed, and in the time that I was in the bathroom, the cat and dog took over my bed. So I've been up since 3:30 this morning, and it's now 9:15 my time. Almost 20 after. Hey, Juno, good morning. But I did get up and make pumpkin waffles for the wife for breakfast. She doesn't like pancakes, she likes waffles. And I had some pumpkin mix that I had made up, so I made her pumpkin spiced waffles for breakfast. Hey, Fury, good afternoon, buddy. When you're 65 years old, you get up when your bladder gets you up. And normally, I know. I think it's my fault because I was thirsty before I went to bed last night, and I drank a lot of water, but that's my fault too. You're right. A waffle is a pancake with a crimp. But for some reason, she just sort of, okay, waffles, pancakes are okay, but if I break out the waffle iron, she could go, no, I'm not hungry, to, yes, make me a waffle. And she will eat the whole waffle. And these are Belgian waffles. They're not the skinny waffles. So, but anyway, I'm sure there are other people out there who did as much work as Scott did to get Trump elected. More power to all of them. Really, more power to all of them. But Scott went to a set of communities that do not vote. And not only got them registered to vote, but got them out to vote. Remember seeing the videos? I didn't think about this until just now. Election day. Coming out of Pennsylvania, of all those horse-drawn buggies with American flags and Trump flags on them, going down to vote. Those were the Amish going out to vote, most of them for the first time in their lives. So, this man did something that absolutely had a major impact on the election. He turned Pennsylvania red for Trump, and that That's why I was wanting to talk about him this morning. We can give everybody a lot of praise. A lot of field workers, a lot of people did a lot of hard work, a lot of door knocking. Trump did his thing. He got out there. He gave press conferences. He gave interviews. He held rallies. And remember, after he got elected the first time, the head of CNN said this was our fault. We covered his rallies too much. We gave him too much airtime. Even though a lot of the airtime they gave him was bashing him. Just like this time. This whole idea that there was that right-wing media machine that got Trump elected and that the left couldn't respond to it. You tell me how the left couldn't respond when they own ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. Junior, didn't you and I talk on TikTok or Twitter? Isn't that how you and I met? I'm pretty certain that's how you and I met, either on TikTok or on Twitter. You'll have to forgive me. My brain don't always remember little details like that about where I've met people at. But anyway, I just want to, in my own way, to give this man the praise and make sure others heard the praise that he deserves. Okay, you're right. It was on TikTok. But this man, I just wanted to make sure he got the praise that he deserves. The media is not as nice to him, of course, because they don't like what he's done. They really don't. They felt that he well, we'll take a look at this article here by the Washington Post. When it's time for the public comments at the Luzerne County last Board of Elections meeting before the November vote, Scott Presler was the first to speak. An online influencer built around the false claim that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. He was active long before the 2020 election. He was active in politics long before the 2020. But that's where they go here. But he declared he was suing the county over an alleged backlog of voter registrations and mail-in ballot applications. He was right. There was a backlog. That's dangerous to our constitutional republic and disenfranchising the voters that this board represents. And these backlogs were for the Amish and the Mennonites and the Brethren, the people that the area that the Democrats could not touch. Because, and to be honest, a lot of these Democrats, much like Peanut the squirrel and Fred the raccoon, they were rather harsh. They are rather harsh on the Amish. They don't understand the Amish. They don't like the Amish. They don't understand that style of living. Now, maybe it's because I did grow up on a farm and I drank milk straight out of a cow's teat. You're exactly right there, Junior. You're exactly right. They did. If you listen to Kamala's speeches, and there's plenty of people that have done it. I'm not going to play it because I can't stand listening to her voice. I don't want to listen to her voice anymore. But she mentions Donald Trump at least 15 to 30 times in every campaign speech. You ask her a question is, well, Donald Trump. Kamala was just, everything. She never said what she was going to do. She never laid out policies, except for the couple of policies she stole from Trump. Over 24 people came to the microphone to accuse the county of being unprepared to carry out the election. So, yeah, there were some problems in that board. And Pressler was the one that pushed it and pushed the board to get their act together. So once again, I just want to give Pressler the credit that he deserves. Okay, now for the other part of my thumbnail is Trump making mistakes already. I started this off showing the House and Senate majorities. The House does not yet have a majority. The Senate has got a narrow majority. They don't have a 10 seat majority. They've got a 3-seat majority. And we know some of these Republicans, like Cornyn and Thune, that don't like Trump and aren't agreeing with his agenda. They've never agreed with his agenda. And there's other Republicans there in the Senate that are like that. And yet, Trump is making appointments or announcing appointments. Now, to make this easy, I went ahead and just printed out the appointments that are there. Okay, that they've. Where is it? No, that's not it. Share screen window. Here we go. Okay, I need to scroll this up. Okay. Trump has picked South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to run the Department of Homeland Defense. I've got a problem with him picking elected officials, people, Republicans who are sitting in seats now. Because if Christian Nome does take this role of Secretary of Homeland Defense, they're going to have a new election for governor of South Dakota. Are they that sure they're going to have a new Republican governor step in that seat? That worries me. Oh, Juno, I've got something for that later on. That's sort of one of the other things I wanted to bring up this morning, because I'm a little tired of hearing this comment that people voted against their own best interest. I'm a little bit tired of hearing that. Well, not just MSNBC, but I mean, all kinds of people have said that, Neil. Okay, Juno, in general, I'm against term limits. And yes, I know that ends up meaning we get people like Mitch McConnell, and we get people like Nancy Pelosi, and we get people like Nader, and we get people like Chuck Schumer. We get people like Cornyn and Thune, that they've got elected, they sit in that position, and they never get out. But I also believe that the people should have the right to vote for who they want to vote for. Now, if a state, the state of Florida, the state of Wisconsin, the state of New York, wants to hold a constitutional amendment to their constitution, saying that their Congress critters can only serve X number of years or X number of terms, I'm all for it. Because then that is the state doing it. I don't believe the federal government should have the right to come in and tell the state how long their representatives can sit there. To me, that's the state's rights to determine how they select their representatives to the Senate, their representatives to the House of Representatives. The state wants to do it, that's fine, but I don't think the federal government should step in and make it a law. Yeah, I'm big on leaving decisions like that, a lot of decisions, up to the state. Because what's good for New York isn't good for Florida, isn't good for Washington State, isn't good for Iowa, isn't good for Nebraska. So if the state wants to limit their representatives, hey, and I can see the argument for it. I really and truly can see the argument for it. But then, I mean, I really like Rubio. I'm starting to like Scott. I live here in Florida. Well, Rubio is starting to get on my nerves, though. Rubio is starting to come down with the Washingtonitis disease. And I think it's about time that he finds a new job. He's getting to the point where I think it's about time he finds a new job. But that brings us to this next point. Trump is looking at replacing, pulling Marco Rubio, a Republican out of Florida, he's a senator, to be his Secretary of State. Now, we've got DeSantis. Now, the state senators, they can be appointed by the governor. So his replacement would be appointed by the governor. And it's pretty safe to say that DeSantis would appoint another Republican. So we won't most likely lose a seat there. The problem is will he pick a Republican that can get reelected? Oh, I 100% agree, Junior. 100% agree. The federal government, if you read the Constitution, the federal government is not to be as powerful as it actually has become, as it has evolved. We can thank FDR, we can thank Woodrow Wilson, we can thank George W. Bush, that the federal government has become as powerful as it has. We can even thank Nixon, because it was under Nixon that the Department of Education was, I believe it was under Nixon that the Department of Education was created. So, I mean, every president has done their share. And, you know, my icon of the 20th century, Ronald Reagan, he did his fair share to increase the power of the federal government. Even though he was one of the most state rights presidents we'd had up till Trump. Maybe it was a peanut farmer, Fury. Maybe it was under Carter. But anyway. I'm concerned, though, that Rubio's replacement will not be strong enough to get reelected. And that's the concern. Mike Waltz. This is another one that scares me. Okay. He's another Florida. He's a member of the House. He just got reelected. If he accepts this job as National Security Advisor, that means we have to have another election to replace him. The 6th, we'll have another election to replace him. We don't even have a majority in the House yet. And Trump is picking a House member to go work in his cabinet. We don't even have a majority yet. And I'm not going to say we're guaranteed to have another Republican elected. No, we don't have the House yet, Fury. We need 3 more or 4 if Waltz takes this job. We need 4 more seats. At least that's according to NBC this morning, just before I started the stream. So this is what I'm saying. Trump I'm asking, is Trump making a mistake in some of his picks to fill his cabinet? Because he's taken from our Senate, he's taken from our House. The Senate's not as bad when you have a Republican governor who's being asked to replace a Republican senator. But when you're being asked to replace a Republican House member, that's a vote by the people. And you got no guarantee. Remember Georgia. Democrats literally moved people into the state of Georgia simply to make certain they had enough people in there in time to get to be able to get registered to vote in order to elect Democrat senator. You're not going to get any arguments out of me, Junior. You are simply not going to get any arguments out of me. So this is why I'm asking: has Trump made a mistake with some of his appointments? Now, a former representative to head the EPA. My only problem with this Lee Zeldin is that he's got zero experience in this area. So this is purely a political appointment. This is more an appointment to, as he says here, he wants to deregulate a lot of the EPA. I am not a fan of the EPA and a lot of the rules that they have. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of the EPA and a lot of their rules. But we do need to have the strength and teeth in there to keep companies from polluting our water, our soil, and our air. There's a balancing act to be done. Democrats don't believe in a balancing act. They simply do not believe in that balancing act. Fury's one of my favorite visitors to the stream. So I'm hoping that Zeldin here knows how to do this balancing act. I don't. I don't know enough about it to know how to do the balancing act. But I'm not stupid enough to know there doesn't need to be one. I'm not stupid enough to think that every company out there is got their heads on straight enough not to pollute the air, the water, the land. I know better. But I also know the EPA has gotten stupid in their regulations. When the EPA comes after your gas stoves, the water in your toilet tanks, What more? What can you say? When the federal government starts telling you that they don't want you to have a gas stove in your house, and the new building codes will prohibit you from having gas lines run through your house or apartment so that you can't have a gas stove. Yeah, they're not taking away your gas stove. You just can't buy a new one. And try to find an old-fashioned toilet tank that holds more than 1.5 gallons of water. So, again, that's the federal government overreach. Now, this is one I'm really happy about. Tom Homan as the head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I am extremely happy for that. Holman is a no-nonsense guy. When asked about, they said it was going to cost $88 million to deport the illegals, and if that's worth it. And he said, what's the price of national security? Then they asked him, I believe this is a CBS interview, are you willing to separate families when you deport them? Is there a way to keep the families together? And he said, yeah, we're willing to deport the entire family. Then the infamous that I showed yesterday, the infamous question and answering between AOC and him. He just ate AOC's lunch like he turned around and ate J. Paul's lunch. So Holman doesn't care what you think. His sole purpose in life, Holman's sole purpose in life is to get illegals out of the country. And, I've got no problem with it. I want to see, like I said yesterday, and I will repeat it. I will repeat this because this is my mantra when it comes to illegals. Birthright citizenship. Your parent must be. One of your parents must be a U.S. citizen for you to have birthright citizenship. I don't care if your parents have been living in the United States on green cards for 40 years. They're not U.S. citizens. You're not a U.S. citizen. I don't care if you were born in Canton, Ohio, and grew up in Columbus, and that was as close as you ever got to Mexico. If your parents are Mexican citizens in the United States on a green card, then you're a Mexican citizen. You're not a U.S. citizen. End of conversation. And yes, you are taxed. Your income is taxed. In fact, your income is taxed at a higher rate because you are not a U.S. citizen. Non-citizens have their incomes in the United States taxed at a higher rate than citizens do. At least 20% higher rate. Non-citizen, your children can't. All the American schools are for American citizens only. American schools are for American citizens only. And I'm talking about the free schools, K through 12. Now, if you want to go to college, make sure you got your visa that has you marked as a student and you can go to college. Just be aware if you're one of these idiots out there protesting and interrupting other students' lives to where they can't go to school, your visa can be revoked and you can be deported. Deported where? Deported to wherever home country you've never seen because you grew up here in the United States of non-citizen parents. Oh, you want welfare? Sorry. Welfare, SNAP, EBT, public housing, not available to non-citizens. It's only available to citizens. Oh, you want to draw Social Security because you worked here all your life? Sorry. You don't get Social Security. No, 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 no. You're a non-citizen. You don't get money out of the taxpayers' coffers. Oh, you paid into it all your life? Well, thank you for your contribution for working here as a non-citizen. But you're not getting paid. You're not getting any of that money back. Oh, you need public housing. Sorry, no public housing. You need medical treatment because you broke your arm. Okay, we'll set your arm up in a cast. We'll treat you, give you pain pills. And then, and ICE will meet you at the emergency room as you're being released and take you to the border because the rest of your medical follow-ups can be with Mexican doctors or whatever doctors your home country is from. Oh, you want to work and you're not a citizen and you don't have a work visa? Sorry, you can't work in the United States. You need to have a work visa. See, this is what that would cause a lot of self-deportations. I honestly believe that those rules in place would cause a lot of self-deportations. Because they would no longer see the United States as the honeypot that they do. And where did I put it? I could have swore I put it in with X yesterday. Let me check. Let me check my profile because I could have swore I put it in X yesterday. Yes. Let me share this. You guys are going to love this.
Will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years. Will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years. This builds on our previously announced measures to cap international student permits and reform the temporary foreign worker program, all of which we are implementing with a single aim: stabilize our population growth to give all levels of government time to catch up, time to make the necessary investments in healthcare, in housing, in social services to accommodate more people in the future. Far too many corporations have chosen to abuse our temporary measures, exploiting foreign workers while refusing to hire Canadians for a fair wage. All while, under the watch of provinces, some colleges and universities are bringing in more international students than communities can accommodate, treating them as an expendable means to line their own pockets. That's unacceptable, and it needs to change.
The caps that we put in place are not measures that we took lightly, nor are the measures taken today ones that we're taking lightly without reflection. We are an open country, but not everyone can come to this country. Permanent residency is something that we hold dear. It has a value, as does Canadian citizenship.
Even Canada is getting tired of it. When Fidel Castro's son is sitting there saying, no more. We're full up. We can't take no more. The United States has gone way past that point. Even Canada is at that point now. So, it's there. It's there, and these guys, these guys are there. And when even Trump sits there, or I'm sorry, even Trudeau is standing there saying, no, we can't do any more. We can't accept any more. It's bad. And if Canada, of all places, can get away with saying it, we should be saying it. We should have already been saying it. Well, I wish to marry my Canadian wife. I had to have 300K Canadian. I couldn't work until I proved I could do a job no Canadian could do. And that was back in 2000. Oh, yeah. All right. Fury, I'll have to compare those. Yeah. I just get so tired of seeing these people. I really do. And what they're trying to get away with, and what they have gotten away with. So, okay. You heard me talk about this yesterday. I think this is the first time. Well, I don't think it's the first time it's actually made the news, but it's there.
Trophy. Harris's ex-communications director is floating a wild plan to make Harris the first female president for a couple of months.
One promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat.
Okay.
Yeah, she remember Al Gore, how upset everybody was, or when Al Gore had to count the electoral ballots, giving GW the win. Well, Junar, it's amazing how for years, the number of ballots, the number of people who actually voted was fairly steady until that Biden election. And then it jumped by 18 million votes. 18 million votes were counted. And 4 years later, it drops right back down to the level it had been for all the other years. Simply amazing how that worked. Simply amazing. All right, let's see here. What do I got next here? Okay, give me just a second.
A rapist, draft dodging. Why would he win? Why did he win?
An impassioned speech the day after the presidential election caught on camera at Valley View High School in Moreno Valley, now going viral on social media and under investigation by the school district.
Can you end up in a concentration camp in your lifetime? Yes!
The popular AP World History teacher at the center of the controversy is on administrative leave for his fervent and foul language lecture on Donald Trump's win.
Can you end up with no human rights? Yes. Will it happen to you? Most likely not. But has Donald Trump quoted Hitler? Yes. Does he embody some of Hitler's ideas? Yes.
I think they're trying to
turn it off and go back to your freaking seat now. Go. Take the. Can you send security up, please? A boy who has a Trump hat on, and I'm not going to tolerate it today. Bye.
Unfortunately, this video.
Okay, how did my mic just get muted? A teacher calls security on a kid for wearing a Trump hat. First, he tells the kid to turn it backwards, then take it off, and then says, "To hell with it, I'm calling security." Another teacher goes on a few-minute rant, and then the school gets the teachers, or the school gets the students to come out and say, well, he wasn't trying to do anything or say anything wrong. He's a great guy, and he apologized to us afterwards. Do I need to find that video of the teacher that when one of her students asked her about, where's the American flag so they can pledge allegiance to it? She goes, oh, I can't find it, but here's a flag that you can pledge to, and pointed out the gay pride flag she had hanging up in her teachers and on her wall in their classroom. The teachers that wear the rainbow jewelry and have they, them, zir, zer, whatever pronouns they want that day on a button on their shirts. Let's not forget the teacher that gave extra credit to his students that went out and marched with Antifa. And famously said, I've got 80-some days to convert your children into rebels. He was intentionally trying to convert his class, take his position as a teacher and influence them with his morals and his political beliefs. And these teachers want to know why parents like myself and probably Juner and Fury and Raman and anybody else who puts up with listening to me, why we sit there and say not only no, but hell no, either fire that teacher or I'm pulling my kid out of their classroom. And you're going to lose the funding because that'll be one less kid in your class. And one kid won't hurt, but they start losing 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, all out of the same, that were all in the same class for the same reason. Then they start to wonder, because now they're really talking about some money. Oh, Fury, you make me laugh. I love you, buddy. That's a good point. These teachers are no longer, because remember, this started off in the colleges back in the 60s. The communist takeover of our colleges started back in the 50s and 60s under the guise of free speech. And now, if you go and try to go, just look at the riots in Berkeley. Look at the fact that a college banned Ben Shapiro from speaking because they were afraid his words would cause such a reaction among people who disagreed with them that they would damage the college. Not that he was advocating for violence, but the people who disagreed with him would react violently. Little 5'6" Ben Shapiro. He was so dangerous, he was trespassed from a college. The video is out there. He's told if he took one step further forward, he would be arrested and charged with trespass on the night that he was due to give a speech. Right now, my daughter-in-law, they're sending my grandson to school, but she's homeschooling at the same time. So, and since my wife works in early education and such, she's got a lot of books that she's loaned them that they use for teaching them. So, but yeah, these people are absolutely crazy. But these are what the school teachers are doing to the kids. All right. Yeah, okay, what's this one here? All right. That's also the school teacher. June, earlier you brought up a discussion here about, and I thought I had the video, but I didn't save it correctly, so my fault. But there's been a lot of videos, especially on TikTok, of women saying that white women are at fault for Trump being elected because 53% of white women voted for Trump. Even though 92% of black women didn't vote for him, the problem was that 53 did. Wrap your mind. The fact that 92% of black women voted one way isn't a problem, but the problem that 53% of white women voted the same way is a problem. Make that make sense, people. But anyway, the accusations are flying hot, hard, and heavy. How dare you women vote against your own best interest? Don't you know Trump is going to make abortion illegal everywhere in the country? Don't you know Trump has taken away your rights? Even though Trump has said multiple times, not only is he not for a national abortion ban, he's all for leaving it up for the individual states, which is the way the Supreme Court ruled. It's a state's issue. Here in Florida, we just had that issue on our ballot. It did not get 60% of the vote. It got like 47 or 48%. Did not reach the 60% vote that was needed. Same way medical marijuana did not, or free use of marijuana, the legalization of marijuana by anybody and everybody, did not reach the 60% threshold. So it failed. But when you accuse somebody of voting against their best interests, how do you know what their best interests are? Their best interest is not the same as your best interest. It simply isn't. My wife's best interest is not the same as my best interest. My son's best interest is not the same as my best interest. There's no two people who can honestly say that their best interest is identical to somebody else's best interest. Now, their best interests may align, but that's a different story. That's a different story. You know, your best interest may align with my best interest, and that's why we vote the same way on issues, or for individuals or against individuals. But that's not why, I mean, our best interest. So when somebody sits there and says that certain people are no longer to be trusted because they voted against their best interest, how dare you to decide what is the best interest of someone else? I thought we were a free country. That I could decide for myself what my best interests were. It's not up to you to tell me what my best interests are. Because as I said, our best interests may not align. I may not have the same qualifications, same requirements. And it's always the same people sitting there saying that, you know, you're not, that your best interest, you ignored your own best interests. It's always the same people. It's always the liberals. Junior, there's a doctor that I saw a video on here quite recently. He said he performed over 2,000 abortions. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but I do know it was less than 20. Less than 20 of the abortions were for rape, incest, or medical needs. Every one of the other 2,000 abortions was because the mother wasn't ready to have a baby. Either emotionally ready, fiscally ready, or just wasn't something that she wanted to have at that time. Swimsuit season was coming up. And she didn't want to be pregnant during swimsuit season. Now that same doctor spends his time trying to stop abortions that don't fit in that category of the less than 20 that he had to perform, that he'd performed, that were for rape, incest, or medical needs. So, all right, let's see, what's this video here I got? Okay.
You got women cutting off their hair and withholding their bodies from men, all because Trump got elected in office. Well, that man really doing his big one, because that's what we've been wanting y'all to do the whole entire time anyway, is to keep your legs closed. That way you don't have to be screaming about women's reproductive rights. Because guess what? You got the right to keep your legs closed. So congratulations. You passed the test. Thank Donald Trump later.
Oh. Hey, Matt. Hey, that video you put on, that was pretty good yesterday. You want the link for that? Okay. There's the link for that, Mass.
Some of Donald Trump's voters are already facing the consequences of their votes. Here is a woman who voted for Donald Trump who is now devastated that her family, her grandma, her mother, her sister will not speak to her anymore.
This is my last political post, okay? I'm going to lay it to rest. Let me just tell you guys, I'm not crying happy tears. I'm not going to be apologetic for being excited, because if it was the other way around, all of the Kamala supporters would celebrate. I want to say that first. I'm very relieved because I voted what I believe in, and I felt heavy on my heart that it's the right thing. So knowing that it was the decision the American people made, I'm relieved and I'm very happy. Very, very happy, okay? I always talked about how my family, sorry, I don't want to make this more than once. I always talked about how my family had different beliefs, my grandma and my mom and my sister, and how we always got along. And I wore my grandma's sweater to go vote, and I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to cry, okay? But my heart's broken. My grandma just sent me a very sad text. It broke my heart. And my mom has yet to text me back today. I'm completely heartbroken that my family is taking it how they are. I never did this to them when Biden won. Never. But
you know, this is not an
I don't believe her. I do not believe that she didn't sit there and crow a bit to her family when Biden won. That I just don't. I tell you, you know, the Trump supporters have been remarkably not silent but muted. I mean, they had the one college campus that went out and had a bunch of people cheering and sang the national anthem at 4:00 in the morning. But other than that, I mean, there hasn't been the loud demonstrations that there was when Biden was elected, and demonstrations in support of Biden being elected. So that's what I'm saying. Now, Harry Sisson. This next video is Harry Sisson. Now, he took a couple of days off posted after the election. This is one of Kamala's $15,000 to $20,000 per post people.
Here's the good news about the 2024 presidential election, and there's not much. We're all very sad right now. We're all very disappointed. We're all very shocked. But there's one.
Am I shocked to a degree? Yes. Am I sad? No. I'm not sad, because all I know now for certain is that the communists, the slide into communism, the slide into socialism has been put off for at least 4 more years.
One piece of good news that I can think about right now, and it's that the resistance continues. The resistance against Donald Trump and their awful Republican policy continues. The Republicans have this idea in their head right now that you, me, and everybody else are just going to lay down.
I've got an answer in mind for you here, Harry.
Given up. We're not doing it anymore. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. We're still here. We're still fighting. We mourn for a week. We get our thoughts together, we recalibrate, and we get back out there. Like, if Republicans think that women, people of color, members of the LGBTQ plus community are just going to sit down and let them do their thing, no, sorry, not happening. And here's the thing. I know for a fact that if Don...
Are you speaking about insurrection there, Harry? Are you calling for an insurrection against a legitimately elected president who got over 300 electoral votes, with traditionally 300 electoral votes meant that there was a mandate for their agenda? Is that what you're telling us, Harry? Is that what you're telling us?
Donald Trump tries to hurt the American people, make our lives harder, we will give him hell. We will make his presidency impossible if he tries to pass policy and legislation that takes rights away from people. I know you want to be part of that. I want to be part of that. And we're going to do it together. So let's not lie down. Let's get back in the game. Man, I'm so...
Harry, what about when for 4 years we've been battling, actually now for 10 years, we've been battling the left trying to take away our Second Amendment rights? Well, Harry, what's up with that? What is up with that? But I've got an answer to you here, Harry. And this answer is coming from one of your own. Okay?
On our shoulder, and we look back, and who is it? It's the Republicans. And they say, excuse me, we'd like the keys back. And we got to tell them, I'm sorry, you can't have the keys back. You don't know how to drive.
Harry, remember that? You Democrats don't know how to, the American people said you Democrats don't know how to drive. So the American people gave the keys to the Republican Party because you guys don't know how to drive. So listen to one of your side's favorite presidents, Obama, and shut up, sit in the back seat, and let the Republicans drive. Is there a stream link? No, I don't have a stream link out, Mass. But let the Republicans sit out and drive now, because the American people gave the keys to the Republican Party. And then I've got, this is my last video tonight. This is one of my favorite videos. This is one of my favorite videos here. Right now.
I'll leave it to you to speculate on how this whole race is going to go. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people. And I think they recognize that being president is a serious job. It's not hosting a talk show or a reality show. It's not promotion. It's not marketing.
Obama. Trump will not be president. And then there's this one here. Sometimes you got to go back into history to get some of these videos.
You know I've got to talk about Trump. There was one huge target at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Everybody.
Hillary trying to appeal to young voters is a little bit like your relative who just signed up for Facebook.
I'm sorry, that's not the one I thought it was. My fault. I think it was Saturday Night Live. Obama. Okay, here it is.
President Obama didn't pull any punches speaking out against Trump on Jimmy Kimmel.
What we haven't seen before, I think, is somebody questioning the intent as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
Well, guess what, Obama? Trump is going down as president twice. So, yeah. Okay, let's see here. You worked in a call center now. People talk, so I will not skit. Okay. There's a lady on TikTok. Junior may know her. Hey, Josh. Junior may know her. She does a lot of skits. And recently she was talking about she's a Marine vet. And she went somewhere to a veterans dinner or something, and she was wearing the red hat of the ship that she was last on. And some woman walked up behind her and called her a lot of derogatory names for wearing a red hat, thinking she was wearing a MAGA hat. And she turned around and showed her that what she was wearing was a Marine Corps hat from the ship that she was on. And the woman apologized and such. And she goes, I thought, since it was a red hat, I thought you were one of them blankety blank Trump supporters. This woman is far from a Trump supporter. And she's made it clear what she thinks of Trump supporters in the past. And she said how wrong that was for that woman just to do that to her, yada, yada, yada. And, you can respond to these people's tweets or to these people's posts there on TikTok. And I made the comment and I said, well, now you know how I feel when I wear my red Trump hat. Now, I've also got the white one, the white Trump hat. I've got a couple of the red ones. I did not get a 45-47 hat. I elected to get the white one instead. And I didn't get the black hat either that Elon Musk wore. But then I bought all my hats straight from the Trump store. I wasn't buying it from anybody, any of the other online retailers. If I'm going to put out money for a Trump hat, I wanted the money to go to Trump. But it's amazing how she got all upset all of a sudden when somebody walked up and called her nasty names just because of the hat she was wearing. I put in there, now you know how I feel, how your side has treated me every time I've gone out wearing one of my Trump hats, especially if I was wearing the red one. The white one is only if they came facing me that they could see it. The white one, it's just Make America Great Again 2024 on the side. Oh, wait a minute, it does say Trump across the back. So, but yeah, it's amazing how fast they react to getting treated ugly. But anyway, ladies and gents, that's as much as I'm going to do today. I want everybody to try to have a good day, enjoy themselves. We're going to have fun. All right, just remember that. Fun, don't let these politics eat you alive inside and turn you into some of these nasty, soulless people like it has on the left. Did you get the black hat with the dual oak leaf clusters? Oh, Lord. I'm celebrating on the inside. I'm trying not to get out there and rub anybody's faces in it. Because I honestly believe that there are some people on the left that will agree with us on issues. Not on every issue, but on some issues. And if we approach them correctly, we may not get them to vote with us every time, but we can get them to vote with us enough of the time that it matters. And I want to have us vote for what's best for the country. That's getting back to that voting against your own self-interest. Is abortion really your own self-interest versus the economy, versus the security at the borders, versus everything else? Is the right to kill a baby such an important self-interest to you that everything else in the country doesn't matter? So let's leave that hot button abortion off the table for now in our own conversations with those on the left. Let's get them agreeing with us about the other issues. Maybe we help stop this slide into socialism. That, to me, should be our end goal. Stopping the slide into socialism, which then inevitably then leads to communism. Okay? So everyone have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Be with the ones you love. And of course, love the ones that you're with. And maybe tomorrow, but most likely Thursday. Y'all have a good one.